Greetings, my esteemed viewers. Today we continue our dive into the exciting story that has already begun to change the lives of our characters. In the previous installment, you learned how Anna's ordinary life took an unexpected turn when Bert, her husband, announced his intentions to divorce her. But what drives Bert, and what is the role to be played by Dustin, who has appeared from afar and offered Anna unimaginable prospects? In part 2, which we will unfold before you today, our heroes will face dilemmas and choices that will put everything they knew about themselves and each other at stake. Follow along as Anna begins to unravel the complex tangle of her doubts and desires, and Dustin decides to take steps that could change their shared future once and for all. Don't miss this journey full of emotion, passion, and hope for the new life that is about to begin. For full immersion in the story and access to exclusive content, I remind you of our Patreon. Join us and find out how this incredible journey ends. Lucky, so lucky. Chapter 2. She sighed. She knew that one of the reasons he had stayed was because of her financial support. He was terrible with money and was constantly getting into trouble with the loan sharks and banks. The evidence of his financial failure was the exotic motorcycle in the garage, which he'd only ridden once since he'd bought the damn thing, and his expensive trips with friends. Something must be wrong if he felt he could afford to suddenly become a bachelor. What led to this? I just think it's time for us to separate. Diana's gone off to university and we don't have anything in common anymore. How will it work? You know, the divorce laws changed a few years ago. Now everyone gets a no-fault divorce, so there shouldn't be a problem. We keep a separate household as it is, except for the joint account. We keep what belongs to us. Likewise, we can agree on the house. If you want to keep it, you can buy it back from me. Otherwise, we'll sell it and split the proceeds. That's rather sudden. What prompted this decision? I just felt it was time to do what was right for each of us. She was still suspicious. I don't have the money to buy your half of the house, but I really don't want to sell. I need time to talk to a lawyer and think things over. She saw him nod and smile softly. I understand. But I'd like to resolve this matter as quickly as possible, if you don't mind. She nodded, and he turned to leave. When he stood up. If you don't mind, I'm going to have dinner tonight. I may decide to get a hotel room and not come back. She nodded dazedly. She was overwhelmed by emotion again. Finishing her wine, she put away her forgotten dinner and headed for the bedroom. Something was strange. Bert was surprisingly cordial and polite. He lay on her bed and tried to figure out what was going on. When she finally interrupted her musings, she looked at her phone and realized what time it was. She opened the chat app and saw that Dustin was already online. Hello? Hey, princess. You're even more beautiful in person than in the video. She couldn't help but smile. You were right. Bert broke a sensation tonight. Oh? He announced that he was filing for divorce. He was polite and cordial and seemed to have it all figured out. I'm still trying to process it. Really? No sarcastic intentions or reactions? No. In fact, he was quite adamant about it. I got the impression that he had it all ready to go. How are you feeling? I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure it all out. He wants a 50-50 split, including the house. I can't afford to buy him out, but I really don't want to give up my house. What's your schedule for tomorrow? You know I have Fridays off. I have nothing else to do since Diana is at university. Why? I want to spend the whole day with you. Can you do that? The thought made Anna smile. Of course. I got the idea that you planned the schedule with that in mind. Gotcha. She giggled. How will it work? Can you pick me up? Sure. Where and what time? He gave her the address, and they arranged to meet at 9 a.m. For almost another hour, they just chatted about what had happened, how he had gotten to the UK, and his plans. Dustin remained a bit cryptic as to what he was going to do in the near future. The next morning, Anna arrived a few minutes late. Dustin sat on the edge of the stone flower bed and waited for her. When she pulled up, he got into the car. She looked at him. So now what? Let's find something to eat, coffee, and a place where we can talk. She headed to one of her favorite places near the hospital. There, a table outside served pastries and coffee. It was a little chilly, but Dustin insisted. Dustin didn't waste any time. Tell me what Bert said last night. Anna repeated the conversation almost verbatim. Dustin asked if Bert had returned home, and Anna told him that, to her knowledge, Bert had not returned to the house. Dustin nodded. "Then I have a confession to make to you about something." Anna listened for a moment. When Dustin started, she was more than concerned. "You know how things are at my house. I told you everything that happened." "Yes." "After I arrived, I did a little sightseeing and then contacted a lawyer. He's been working on my behalf for about a week now." "Do what?" "He made some inquiries for me and arranged the finances." Anna looked a little embarrassed. "One of the main tasks I've assigned him is to contact Bert." Anna sighed. "Did you communicate with Bert before me?" "I didn't. My attorney did all of this. Bert has no idea who I am." "Why did you have a lawyer contact Bert?" "I made him an offer." "What's the offer?" "I offered him $1 million to initiate a divorce." Anna sighed. "What did he do? You tell me. What did he say to you last night?" Everything began to make sense. Anna looked at Dustin slyly. "Why did you have to bribe Bert to start the divorce?" "I told you I came for you." Now she was confused again. Dustin continued. "Freeing you is the first step. Once that is done, I want you to come with me. Diana is at university. You'll be able to see her here whenever you want. I want you to come and help me do as many things as possible that I've dreamed of all my life. I don't know how much time I have left, but I want everything I have to be dedicated to you." She was almost crying now. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Oh, Dustin, as wonderful as that sounds, I just don't see how it could work. What's stopping you from doing it? I'm not sure I want to retire. I love being a doctor. And then there's the horse, and I'm not old enough to retire under our system. I need the income to support Diana at the university." Dustin smiled understandingly. "My attorney assured me that you have had enough years in the system, but you still have a few years left before you reach retirement age. Your pension will be secure if you can only wait a few years. But I won't have any income at this time." Dustin reached out and took her by the shoulders. "You don't need anything. With the lottery payments, my pension, and other investments, you won't need to work. I'm willing to make sure Diane has everything she needs to succeed. I can take care of the horse and buy half the house from Bert. We can settle down here, travel and explore the world, and make the rest of our lives an adventure." Anna was stunned and speechless. Dustin noticed the look on her face. "I'll tell you what, I need to get back to London to settle a few more things. Take a week to think about it. If you have any questions, you can call me or chat with me anytime. After a week, you can give me an answer. Fair enough?" She nodded. He smiled broadly. "Now let's see the sights of Birmingham, have lunch, walk around some more, and have a great dinner. And then we'll see what happens next." A week later, Dustin was sitting in his hotel room waiting for Anna to log in. He knew she still went to the hospital and clinic on regular days. She stayed in touch both by phone and chat. He was sitting in his hotel room with his tablet when she went online. "Hello, Dad? Hey, baby girl. How was your day?" "Terrible. We lost another doctor today. The duty schedule came out, and I was put on it 2 weeks in a row. To top it all off, Bert filed a divorce petition, and I got the notice today. I'm overwhelmed." "Just do things in order. The first thing on my list is to find out what you think of my idea." "I don't know. To tell you the truth, after what happened at the hospital, it looks tempting. I don't think I could handle being on duty for 2 weeks straight, plus all the other shit that goes on there. Do you really think it's going to work?" "Of course I do." They chatted for another 2 hours. Finally, Anna begged to leave. "Daddy, I'm really tired. Can you give me one more day to work all this out?" "Sure, tomorrow is Friday, and you don't have to work. Let's chat in the morning when you're rested." "Okay, Daddy. I love you even more. Good night." Dustin sat back in his chair and thought. He was pretty sure she was convinced of that. The next day he called her instead of using the tablet to communicate. "Hey, good morning, Princess. Did you sleep well?" "Indeed, much better than in the last few months, I think." "You must have made some kind of decision." "I guess I do. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with me?" "I wouldn't ask you if I wasn't sure." A deep sigh was heard in the receiver. Daddy, I want to be completely with you all the time, in every way. Dustin wanted to jump up and yell loudly but held back. Then I want you to do a couple things for me. Okay, I'll give it a try. Call the hospital and take 2 weeks off. Pack your things and come to London. We'll spend 2 weeks together. We have to get to the next level. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Where should I come? The Pan Pacific Hotel in London. Let me know when you plan to arrive and I will be waiting for you in the lobby. I'll be there tomorrow afternoon. Good girl. The next day, I waited in the lobby at 3 p.m., as agreed. I saw her walk through the front door, followed by a belle who was carrying 2 large suitcases. I moved toward her and saw her smile when she saw me. As I waited for her to cross the lobby, I wrapped my arms around her. She was wearing a beautiful skirt, blouse, and 3-inch heels. It made her almost as tall as me. I enclosed her in my arms and kissed her. I know almost everyone turned around to look, and so began the most fulfilling 2 weeks of my life. We did everything I had dreamed of doing. We visited all the sites, ate out, shopped, and walked around every neighborhood in London. We spent our evenings in our hotel suite, learning everything about each other that you couldn't learn from 5,000 miles away. After 2 weeks, I sat her down in the hotel room and held her hands. She looked troubled when I said those ominous words. We need to talk. Princess, it's time for you to go home. You have a decision to make. You can go back to your life, pick up your practice at the hospital, and we'll carry on as we have for the last few years. I won't say I'll be happy about this decision, but I'll accept it and move on with my life. When you get home, I'll send you a chat with instructions. You will make your choice. She lunged forward and wrapped her arms tightly around my neck. She didn't sob, but when she pulled away to look at me, tear stains appeared on the shoulder of my shirt. Good. This has been the culmination of all my dreams since we first met and became together. I love you. There's no doubt about that. I just have to decide if I'm ready to take that leap. I know. That's why I'm giving you time to think about it and make a decision. That afternoon, I put her on a train going back to Birmingham. I stood on the platform for almost an hour, looking at the track where that train had disappeared. I returned to the hotel, intent on finalizing my plan. The train ride was excruciating. All I could think about was the look in his eyes as he stood on the platform and the train pulled away. Then doubt and then fear overwhelmed me. He was asking me to give up my whole life. It was like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking at the tantalizing blue water below and trying to convince myself to jump. In your mind, you realize that the jump is entirely possible and the water will be wonderful. But taking that step over the edge into the unknown and leaving the safety of solid ground is scary. I thought about it all the way to the station in Birmingham. When I got home, I placed my order in Chinese and left my bags in the entryway. Curled up on the too comfortable couch in my favorite house, I ate noodles with vegetables while my thoughts ran wild. It was almost 9:30 when I heard my phone beep and realized it was a text from Dustin. I opened my phone and started reading. My dear Anna, the last 2 weeks have been the happiest in my memory. You are both beautiful and intelligent. I realized again what we had said so many times. We were made for each other. I only wish we'd known it much sooner. Now you must make a decision. To do this, you must understand what I am proposing. First of all, I intend to leave London in 2 weeks. I very much hope that you will leave with me. If you make that decision, I want you to do a few things. Start taking action in retirement. Do what you need to do to make it a reality. Lock up your home and arrange for someone to check on it and take care of it. Don't worry about expenses. This will be my responsibility. Do the same with your horse. Pack everything you need for 90 days. I will explain all this to you when and if you arrive in London. I plan to travel all over the world. There are places I want to see and experiences I want to have with you. If you decide that this is our destiny, come to London 8 days from today. Plan to arrive late tonight. I want you to wear the black skirt and red blouse we bought at the boutique in Soho. I'll be waiting for you to arrive at the bar. I will leave it there, counting on the fact that, knowing how my brain works and what we discussed late at night, you will behave accordingly. However, if you decide that you cannot decide to make such a drastic change, I will understand. Remember that no matter what you decide, I will always love you. I read and reread this post. It was Friday evening. I had at most 2 more days to deal with my insecurities before I could proceed with his instructions. Oh God, what am I going to do? Dustin spent the weekend wandering around London. As much as he hated big cities, London fascinated him. He found that the British had such a sense of style, pomp, and circumstance that he was drawn back several times to the changing of the guard at Windsor Palace. At night, he wandered the streets, visiting nightclubs and entertainment venues. It surprised him, but he felt 20 years younger. He was always haunted by doubts. He was constantly tormented by doubts. Whether she would return to London or treat his plans as the ravings of a decrepit old man trying to regain his youth. Perhaps she was. Perhaps he had gone completely insane, and what he was experiencing were the waking dreams of a decrepit wreck sitting in some antiseptic nursing station in Texas. If so, he decided, what better way to await the inevitable than to sink into an intoxicating waking dream? Finally, the day came. He had spent most of the day repacking all the things he had bought in London. He had to buy a whole new piece of luggage to carry all that stuff. Together with the concierge at the hotel, we made 2 travel plans. One covered his trip to Texas alone. The other was for 2 people and in a completely different direction. He had no idea which plans would be used and which would be cashed in. Shortly before 3 in the afternoon, Dustin emerged from his hotel room. He was wearing Wrangler jeans, a dark blue Ariat long-sleeve shirt, heeled ostrich leather cowboy boots, and an expensive wide-brimmed Stetson cowboy hat. His target was the hotel bar, located just off the lobby. That, my friends, brings us back to where we started this story. 3 days later, Dustin and Anna boarded a plane to Amsterdam. This was to be the first leg of Dustin's tour. I'm sure he will be traveling around the world with Anna, and that there will be much more along the way than they are planning. Here ends the second part of our story, leaving us in deep reflection. In this conclusion, we will try to penetrate into the essence of the events that influenced the fates of our heroes, Anna and Dustin, and prepare the ground for the continuation of their journey. Anna is faced with a responsible choice that could change her life once and for all. The turmoil caused by her husband's decision to divorce turns out to be just the beginning of a much deeper dive into introspection and rethinking what is really important to her. Dustin's new horizons opened up for her, giving her the opportunity to live a life she had only dreamed of before. Dustin, in turn, is ready to offer Anna not just an alternative to the current state of affairs, but a chance for a new beginning based on mutual feelings and shared aspirations. His determination and desire to make Anna happy manifests itself not only in a generous offer, but also in subtle gestures of attention and involvement. Behind these events is a profound psychological moment, the fear of the unknown, and the question of whether we value our own happiness enough to take risks for it. Anna and Dustin are faced with a choice between the security of a familiar existence and an uncertainty that promises the fulfillment of their wildest dreams. As a reminder, the full version of this story is already available on our Patreon. Join us to dive into the full version of their amazing journey together, full of love, challenges, and hope for a better future. Thank you for sharing these stories and moments with me. Your attention and support is a true source of inspiration. See you again in stories that make us dream, love, and live life to the fullest.